I'd like to change into something a little bit more spectacular. Is that okay with you? Sure. Now.
That's Liberace. 36 years. You're beginning your 36 years in professional play. And there's one thing we want to show you from. You are.
I'm Winnie Teeter.
And where did you get this wonderful? Look at this. This is.
I'm a retired piano organ teacher, and this has been one of my hardest things to practice.
Do you recognize this? Of course you do.
Piano interpretations. Oh, this really goes back. Yes, 1953. And some of the piano arrangements that...
And you say they were hard.
Yes, and I like them because they sound like Liberace.
Well, good.
What do you mean by that? What is a Liberace sound?
They have a great style, first of all, and they're definitely his, and if you want to sound like him, I heartily recommend that book.
Well, I'm very flattered that you still have the book and that it sounds like me, because they are my arrangements.
But difficult.
Right.
And
right.
I think that's one reason that book didn't sell. It was too difficult. We sold one copy.
Okay, first of all, when did you know you could play the piano as well as you did? How early was it?
Well, I really, Charles can't remember a time when I didn't play the piano. I started playing by ear at first when I was a little kid. And my sister was taking piano lessons, and she hated to practice. So my mother would be in the grocery store in the front, and we lived in the back of the grocery store. So she'd say, Angie, that's my sister, practice. So Angie would put me at the piano, and I would play for her, and my mother would think Angie was practicing, and she'd be out playing. And I'd be sitting at the piano practicing her lessons, but by ear. And then, of course, they found out that I was doing it in a kind of a sneaky way, so then I started taking piano lessons. And eventually I got a scholarship at the Wisconsin College of Music with a very fine teacher. And I studied with Florence Kelly, who was a student of Moritz Rosenthal, who was a brilliant concert pianist. And the scholarship lasted for 17 years. I made my debut during that time and with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, and made my recital debut.
Do you remember what you played in the...
with the Chicago Symphony, I played the Liszt Concerto in A major. But during all of this time, with all this concert and classical music, I was also playing with the dance band and playing popular music. So that's how I got interested in that kind of music, because with that kind of music, I was able to make a living. But with the concert music, it was mostly for glory. I had a lot of offers to play, but not a lot of offers for pay.
So when you have that crossroads and you have to make that decision, classical or modern?
I played wherever they wanted me. I played at style shows. I played at weddings and dancing schools. I played for dancing school lessons, and the teacher couldn't afford to pay me sometimes because the kids wouldn't pay her for the lessons. So she'd give me dancing lessons in return for playing. And I found that that all came in handy later on. You know, somebody said, can you dance? I said, I don't know, let's try it. And I found out I could, you know.
Any regrets not going the full concert route in the classical music?
I don't think so, because I I've been able to reach so many more people playing all kinds of music than if I was just a musical purist. I greatly admire concert pianists like Vladimir Horowitz and Rubinstein, but I think the best answer that I ever came across was in a review of one of my concerts in San Francisco, where the reviewer said, Liberace is no Rubinstein, but neither is Rubinstein no Liberace. So I thought that was a compliment.
Yeah.
And I think Rubinstein thought so too.
George, was he a pain in the neck in the house with the piano or not?
No, not at all. In fact, I don't know if Lee remembers this. The first time I've actually saw him pick out the tunes, he was 4 years old. I remember it well. I was there, and we had a record player, and one of the tunes was "Oh Katerina." Remember that, Charlie?
Mm.
And he used to pick that out, and I said, someday he's going to really be a pianist. And that dream came true, didn't it, Lee?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Now, the two of you worked together for how long?
Oh, we toured at least 15 years on the road together, did our TV show in all those years, and been a wonderful association, and we're still working together.
Yes, yes. It's one of those rare things where brothers are happy and working together, and it doesn't always happen, as you know.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
A lot of groups that are family-oriented eventually seem to break up because I guess it's too much of being together. They can't handle it. But we always got along great.
We did, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask Lee one question, and this is probably a first I can ask on TV.
With a drum roll, gang.
Lee, I would like to ask you, what is your goal that you feel you haven't achieved yet that you'd like to achieve in your career? A lot of people ask this at the museum, and I thought I'd ask you directly.
Well, there's always something to look forward to in music. You never feel you've learned it all. And show business is so far-reaching nowadays that the longer I'm in it, it seems that I've done very little, really. And I only hope that time will afford me the opportunity to play in some of the countries I've never been to. I've never been to the Far East. I've never been behind the Iron Curtain to perform, and I would like to feel that I did it all, you know. And that's why every day I try to make something happen, you know, because I feel if I don't, it's a wasted day. And as you get older, you start thinking about wasting time. You know, when you're young, you say, oh, I'm young, I got lots of years ahead of me, you know. But then when you get past 50, then you start thinking of conserving yourself and your time and making it worth something. I've never done a Broadway show, for instance. I would like to do that. And being on the Academy Awards, I thought I was fantasizing a little bit. I thought, wouldn't it be marvelous if I could be in a movie and get an Oscar? Yeah, I would love that. Mm-hmm. And
playing what kind of a role?
I really don't know, because
would you like to, for instance, get away from everything you've been doing and playing something very dramatic, maybe melodramatic?
Well, I think the public would expect me to do something that was music-oriented, you know, but it still could be very dramatic. And some of the lives of the composers, I'd love to do that. It's been a long time since we've seen anything like that on the screen. And I think that musicals in motion pictures are beginning to come back again. You know, they could be funny movies, they can be comedies, but they're still music-oriented, like Victor Victoria, I thought was brilliant.
Right.
I loved it. And you had a completely new appreciation of the people in that movie, who I'd seen many, many times before, but they're doing something different, you know, just so great. I love Julie Andrews and Robert Preston.
Oh, he was
And,
wonderful.
I completely forgot about Music Man. I completely forgot about Julie Andrews and The Sound of Music. Completely different. And I'd love to do something like that where people would say, well, I knew Liberace played the piano, but I didn't know he could be funny. I didn't know he could act. You know, I'd love to do something like that.
Would it be easy for you to accept him in a more dramatic role in a movie? Would you like to see him do something like that?
I think so, yes. It would be different and enjoyable, I'm sure.
What if it was really a gutsy movie with, a musician, a composer who really had serious problems, and let's say he became a drunkard, or would you be able to see him in that kind of debauchery that we would make him in this movie?
Never. No.
Tell us who you are.
My name is Karen Park.
Hi.
And I'm an opera singer and a ballet mistress.
Ah.
Okay.
So singer to singer.
I remember Liberace in a black and white movie years ago when I was a very little girl, and I never forgot how beautiful he was.
Remember the movie?
Huh?
You remember
And
the movie?
he played the part of a pianist, of course, high class, very high class.
What movie are we talking about?
I think, is that the one where I lost my hearing? And Sincerely Yours?
I think so,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
But he was so handsome and such a sophisticated, wonderful pianist. I just thought, oh, he's gorgeous.
Okay, given those attributes, the sophistication, the good looks, and all that kind, would it be that much more difficult for you to play the broken-down bum on Tin Pan Alley, this movie that we're going to create for you?
It's funny, in a movie I did before that with Shelley Winters, I played a beach bum who played the piano in a dive in the South Sea Islands, and it was called South Sea Sinner. And there were always fights going on in this dive, and Shelley Winters at that time was a sex symbol. And
A very thin sex symbol.
beautiful, beautiful. And she was my buddy, and I was her accompanist in this dive where she sang. And I had a wrinkled suit and kind of long hair, and I was a beachcomber type. And it was a good role for me because it was such a twist from what people were used to seeing me, always well-groomed and everything. So through that, I got the Warner Brothers movie. And at the time, they were filming The Giant at Warner Brothers, which was a spectacular movie. And the director of that movie saw some of my rushes of my movie, and he said, someday I'd like to do a real serious movie with you.
Are you talking about George Stevens?
Yes.
The Rock Hudson?
Yes. And coming from George Stevens, a great director, I was very complimented. And he told me, he said, you're a born actor, you know. So I consider that a compliment.
But what about the liabilities? You're known now. You were saying before the recognition. Would people allow me? They'd want me. They'd expect me to do some music in a movie. Are you locked in? Is this what fame does? Is this what the celebrity status does? It locks you in as well as frees you?
Well, I think there's always room for expansion of an image. I think people are right to expect a certain something from the performer, but then if they can give them that extra twist or another dimension, they'll accept it. I really do. I wouldn't want to do a movie, for instance, where I murder people or kill people or do something like that. I think movies that are, like you say, where the person is self-destructive can be very sympathetic. If you recall, years ago, Bing Crosby made a movie like that, which he played a drunk, and you had great sympathy for him because he was a nice man and he didn't have control of his personal life.
Show of hands, gang. How many of you would really be turned on or well, let's put it turned off with a movie featuring this man, and he played a piano player, let's say, who didn't really make it, and he constantly had the bad breaks, and we see him in the course of the movie, even though it's sympathetic, we see him disintegrating as a human being and becoming just a drunken bum. How many of you would be turned off by a movie like that?
I would never be, because I think he's a great actor.
You mean the rest of you would say that's okay? Oh, then go make the movie. You have everyone that you want. Why? Tell me.
I think he's a great actor.
Yeah.
And I think he would be capable of doing anything, even flying through the air with his own piano. You know?
By the way, that could happen because this man right here, John, I was talking before, tell me the company that you...
I'm John Martinovich. We have performed together about many years ago, York, Pennsylvania. I don't know if you remember, a bunch of Hungarian acrobats.
Oh, how marvelous.
With the Three Stooges and everybody else was there.
Oh, great.
And Pat Boone and Connie Stevens, whoever. Anyway, we are opening a circus world here in Las Vegas.
Oh, marvelous.
And we'll be teaching everything to do with circus, trapeze, clown, juggling, what have you, a high wire. And my partner is Steve McPeak, who's the record breaker in the Guinness Book of World Records. And he's out there setting up his 100-foot unicycle now.
Oh, my
and
goodness.
so we are creating a little excitement, and we're excited.
Yeah, you have, you're going to be in that school, is that right? Or you?
Yes, I am. My name's Joy Jones.
Why are you in the school?
When I was 6, I took tap dance, which my mother got me into, and I also took accordion lessons, but I wasn't pushed. And for the last 12 to 15 years, I've been developing. And now I know I have the power and the drive to do it. And I want to do what you're doing. I want to be the Mother Teresa of Las Vegas. I want to give and help to others that don't have the drive and the push to do it.
Well, that's a wonderful attitude. Great.
How essential in your career, which we're really going to get back to, how essential is the drive in a career?
Well, I think in the beginning it's very important, the dedication and the drive. Then after you seem to attain certain goals, I think the tendency then is to relax a bit and enjoy it. And I used to set impossible goals for myself. And then if I reached something along the way that was important, it still wasn't satisfying to me.
We're going to pick this up, Lee, because when we come back, we're going to talk about the fact that this man in the late 50s changed the whole nature of headliner status in Las Vegas. We'll be right back with Liberace.